What up, y'all? Welcome back to the accent of me. I definitely wanted to come in again today. I'm trying to make sure my head looks good because that looks so bad. Let me just make sure. Okay, because a couple things. One thing that I've always thought about is there's been a couple things that happened. So this channel, I wanted to encompass who I am. So today we're going to talk about Roland Garros gave us two champions, Carlitos and Coco. But Wimbledon grass is already stirring up a lot of drama, especially with everybody, with everything that's going to be happening. Meanwhile, we got Kim Kardashian's ice comments, which sparked so much backlash, and I'm going to tell you why. And as a gay man who's navigated rebounds, I'll tell you when they actually work. So let's dive in. So first, how's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. We are almost over out of the week. So you know me, you know that I am on this fitness journey. So most of my week entails me constantly being in places like the gym all the time, you know? So, first, we're going to talk about Wimbledon, which, if you guys know me, if you know anything about me, you'll know that it's literally my favorite. Like, Wimbledon is like, why can't I change this? Wimbledon is my favorite. And when I tell you guys, it's just the atmosphere. I've always thought that it would be one of those amazing things. So I wanted to, I rubbed my eye like crazy. So I wanted to talk about the Wimbledon because I know a lot of people in these spaces, they don't talk about, tennis. I love tennis. So if you know me, you know that I love tennis. So let's just talk about that. When it comes down to the men's draw, right now, Sinner and Alcaraz are probably going to be the two favorites. I'm thinking by the game because Sinner gives me more of aggressive game. I'm actually going to go opposite this time. Normally, I would go with Alcaraz first, Sinner second. I think Alcaraz's game just sits well on clay. Let's just be honest. Um, but I'll give the dark horse to Alcaraz this time. I'll give Sinner is actually going to take this one, and then they're going to battle it out. Maybe U.S. Open as well. So I'm thinking Sinner is actually going to take this for Wimbledon. When it comes to the women, I know that that's actually been such a big thing for everyone lately. Is Coco going to be able to? Is she going to be able to bounce back from this whole Roland Garros win? Is Coco going to be able to make it? And I'm going to be honest. I'll be honest with you guys right now. I definitely think Coco's going to take it. I don't think that there's going to be something like crazy, crazy, crazy that happens. I think that she's going to make it far. I think lately she hasn't been going past the fourth round. But I would definitely say that I think these two, Coco, wait, where's she at? Coco, you can't see her. But I think Coco and Carlitos are definitely going to be my two favorite. But I do think that there's for the women, I'm probably going to still give it to Sabalenka coming in, or she's going to lose in like the quarters or the semis. But I do think Coco's going to make it far. Um, and that was brought me up to like I definitely want to bring the psych part into this. And when you think about the psych angle of that, how athletes' mental resilience post loss, like Djokovic's or Sabalenka's recently when she made those horrendous comments about Coco, I think it'll just be one of those things that we just have to kind of wait and see. But I do think long term, I do think that it's a bit much for people to actually have to go on and make these comments after they've lost. And I don't think people really look at it that way. I think it's an emotional thing, but I think tennis has always had to be something classy, you know. But let's move on from that. The next thing I'm going to talk about, guys, let's bring it to the table. Let's bring it to the table. Kim K's ice comments. And I always look at this as like privilege versus advocacy. And it just, when you think about, like, let's just go back to one of the tweets. The tweet that she made is, "I stand with immigrants, and there has to be another way of doing this." And they've already talked about her Skims factory. They scrutinized her for what was going on at the Skims factory. Um, and I'll be honest, I think when you think about this psychologically, I always ask people to ask themselves a couple questions about the Kardashians in general. Why performative allyship backfires, the savior complex is what basically she's going for. And I look at it like this: Kim Kardashian and that family, they were quiet the entire 2024 election cycle. And I don't know. We know that she's doing her justice reform, and Donald Trump has basically been helping her with that. For me, mm, this family's interesting to me. I'll be honest. Like, this family has always been interesting to me. Not for anything good. I'll be honest. They've never been anything good that came from this family. I think they're culture vultures. While I can still think these things about them, I think coming out right now for this young lady, I think she picks the wrong time to do everything. You just did a campaign for what was it, the Cybertruck? You did a campaign for the Cybertruck. You also did a lot of other things that just were very weird. You party with Ivanka all the time. It's just weird. I think the behavior is weird. And if you think about it, as a black gay man, I've seen how marginalized groups get spoken for. Here's what works. When these things are taking place and they're inhumane, and I think that the society in America has gotten so polarizing to wanting to keep their money and wanting to make sure that everything is about a dollar, everything is about this. I think a lot of times what people should start doing, I think, is speaking out when these things happen. I think so many times, like the Kardashians, they wait to the last minute. And I think there's a difference between just being humane and saying, like, this is just humanity and this is what I stand for. And here's other things. Like, for me, I think just to see her even going on about it at this moment, it's just like, Kim, today you chose to do that out of all days. Like, and even just like going back to her tweet, right? If we go to her tweet, and here's her tweet. So her tweet basically states, "When we're told that ICE exists to keep our country safe and remove violent criminals, great. But when we witness innocent, hardworking people being ripped from their families in inhumane ways, we have to speak up. We have to do what's right." Growing up in LA, I've seen how deeply immigrants are woven into the fabric of this city. There are neighbors, friends, classmates, coworkers, and family. No matter where you fall politically, it's clear that our communities thrive because of the contributions of immigrants. We can't turn a blind eye when fear and injustice keeps people from living their lives freely and safely. There has to be a better way. Now, I'm all for this. I'm all for her saying all of this. But my thing is, when you're doing all of this, Kim, I think anybody with a platform, and I think that's kind of one of those things that we've all sat around and we're like, you make this person famous, you make this person famous, you make that person famous. And I think there is a larger thing at hand if you think about it. And I think I don't care if I've never wanted to be famous, but there will be nothing that stopped me from ever wanting to speak out about just what's right, no matter what your political views are or who you voted for. Right is right. And I think I said this in a video of mine the other day. Just seeing those babies being ripped, basically having to speak for themselves, was enough for me. Like, I get it. It's all about, the older people, things like that. But when it comes to the babies, that's when I kind of draw the line. So with the Kardashians, I've always felt that it was a very odd situation. I'm not going to go into them having children or who they chose to have children by. I do find some things very, very weird. So that's what I have to say about that. And next, I wanted to bring up some things that, I'm going to show you guys some pictures. And one of them is this couple right here. And let me show you. Let me show you. I'm going to delete this. Let me show you. And I don't care what nobody say. The rebound is in, and I think we have to start looking at things in a way that's a little bit different. And I only say that because people were so judgmental about this whole situation with Tiana Taylor and Aaron Pierre. Now, for me, this whole situation, I live for it. I don't care what nobody say. I live for Tiana getting her life back, doing what she had to do to just find love again after what happened, seeing what they say about each other, seeing the company that they're keeping with each other. I think that is amazing. I think a lot of times I always say this, people always think like the myths or like rebounds are always toxic, but research actually shows healthy rebounds boost self-worth, and even when you're thinking about it in a different way. I've always said it in the gay community why mass presenting men face pressure to stay guarded, and how I learned to lean into vulnerability. For me, it's always been a thing of that men that present themselves like me, you have to wear a wig or heels or lipstick or whatever. And I've always said that I was always going to be true to myself and stay to who I am, and never change my colors because of anything else that's actually taking place. But I love this for her. I love that for Cardi B. I love that Cardi's doing it. I love that they are taking back their power, and they can kind of take these things and they could change the narrative, and that I'm all for them finding love and making sure that everything is they're happy. Like, I don't think that a man should dog you out and you should bend the rules. I've said it many times to people. I've been in an open relationship before, and I didn't bend who I was. I didn't change who I was. I let them do what they wanted to do, and I did what I wanted to do. And that wasn't me having sex with other people. If that's what you want to do in a relationship, I always say find people that you're equally yoked to. But if understand that these things are going to change when you meet someone, these things may change. Who this person is may change. And if you love them, you can love them, but you can also understand when the writing's on the wall, and it is what it is. So for me, I've always said, have you ever had a rebound that helped you? And if you guys did, anybody that sees this video, please comment below how the rebound helped you, and what it did to your self-esteem or, your self-worth overall. Just because it's always interesting. So for me, I actually wanted to talk to you guys also about a little bit more about like the mental corner. So I want to start giving you guys a mental corner because there was something that I saw today, and it was from Samuel Jackson. And when it came to Samuel, it was definitely something that he says. So if you guys can't see what he said, I'll read it to you. He says, "When I see Trump, I see the same rednecks I saw when I was growing up who called me the N word. Sorry, that's my cat, guys. And tried to keep me in my place. That's what the Republican Party is to me. They're doing it to young people, gay people. They don't care who you are. And if you're not them, you're the enemy." And I want to talk about that for a minute. This is how I feel about America. There is nothing that will ever change how I truly feel about America, because this is how it feels. I don't care what the Republican Party says. I don't care. Tormenta, get your ass down. Listen, But this is how I feel about the Republican Party. This is how I've always felt about the Republican Party. I think it's one of those things that when you think about it, it's I think it's like gaslighting to the extreme for you to sit in my face and say that you're not, you're not doing these things. And when I think about it, because I wanted to have a mental health corner, you're talking about like when I think about tennis breakups, Kim K, and this is Donald Trump and why mental health is the baseline. I think about the parallels, like from athletes who use sports psychologists and how they check into them, and how most people probably in the States are actually needing to go through somebody and look at them and say, hey, I'm looking for just help. Like I think just being able to sit in front of people and to lie to them their faces blatantly. Like I don't know what the girl Karen Levitt or the press secretary, how she told a lady today, like she was like, well, should they, if they peacefully protest, could they could they be sure that Trump is not going to issue the army on her? And she just kind of looked at her and was like, yeah, that's a stupid question. And I was like, how rude are you people? You people are so classless. Like they're so classless in these positions. And I always think about just how much scrutiny that a person must have to face to deal with these things, just being in the States, what you truly have to deal with. And I think that is one of those things that I think my eye is really bad. I think that is one of those things that we just have to talk about, and we have to kind of look at these things and the repercussions of that. And I remember talking to someone that lives in Ukraine, and they were showing me the missiles or the drones from their rooftop, and I was like, "What does that do to you mentally?" And only for America to be going through something similar right now, and me to only have uh, my heart is so big, and so open for, and I empathize with everybody because it's like, what mentally could you all be going through dealing with that? So, I wanted to get that out. I know I came on earlier, but I had thought about this. I was like, I need to just go on and talk about this because I'm starting to look at you guys as like people I just talk to and get it all out. So definitely don't forget to subscribe because we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. I'm definitely going to cover Wimbledon. I actually like the internet entertainment space. Um, I just feel like my views are just a little different. And I know everybody probably comes on and things like that, but I will never, sugarcoat anything for anybody. So I definitely want to keep doing this. I like the live streaming. If you're watching the playback of this, I love the live streaming. The live streaming is so much better. I feel like it's unedited. It's unlike unfiltered. I don't have to worry. You see me almost cuss my cat out. Um, but it's one of those things that I would definitely keep doing. So what I'm going to do, I probably won't do it every day. I will probably come again on Friday, give you guys a show on Friday, talk about some current events, um, speak about what I want to speak about because I ain't going to be talking about love and hip hop and all that. That ain't none of my business. There was something that I wanted to show you guys. Let me see if I can find it. I love, 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 love how K Michelle checked this lady. Let me show y'all. Here we go. Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all this. Let me show you how she checked this lady. And it was just like chef's kiss to everything that I love. And let
Because I feel like we just kind of got you. You haven't, you didn't grow up here in country music, so kind of tell people, kind of introduce yourself to them, and then tell them how you arrived in Nashville. What brought you here?
Yes, I did grow up in country music. You do this all the time. I
oh,
did grow up in country music. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I got a scholarship for yodeling. That's how I paid for college. My start to you, to be seen to you, has been when the Judds people themselves reached out to me to go and pay
okay.
Naomi Judd tribute. That was the first tape I ever got, and that was Love Can Build a Bridge. And it's always been a thing for me. I was told I could not sing country music because I was black, but it was something I had always been doing and will continue to do. I'm born and raised in Tennessee. I didn't fly here. I grew here.
You grew here.
Yeah.
Let her
I
know.
grew here in Tennessee. And I am so happy to be able to sing the songs of who I am and what it is I want to.
Okay.
So I'm happy that people like you are just discovering me though.
Let me tell y'all something. When I tell you that's how you get somebody together, that's how you get somebody together. Because my thing is this: who are you? Well, let me tell y'all something that I've been wanting to get off my chest. When white people say that they created like country music or anything like that, the first thing that I think to myself is how? How? And I ain't even making it about white and black, but how? How? You can't keep a beat. You can't keep a beat. You can if we change the beat up mid song, y'all gonna lose your mind. And it confuses me how Shabuzi had just dealt with that lady that had just did that too. I like the white background better too, so I'm gonna be playing around with stuff. So Shabuzi had did the same thing when the girl was like, "Yeah, they basically created the Carters basically created country music." He was like, "Girl, what? Are you out your mind?" And I think it's just asinine, absolutely ludicrous how you all can be so delusional. Like, and I promise you, before I go, let me tell y'all something. Before I go, I'm gonna say that it's people from the states. People from the states have to be delusional because when you go to other countries, they give flowers. They give the flowers that need to be given. And that's the only reason that I started to come on here to say what I wanted to say. Because when you go to other countries, and I know some people want to say that it's a cultural thing, but me, even in Mexico, I get this. I was on the elevator yesterday going to get my teeth cleaned. And the lady literally looked at me. She kind of got on the elevator and kind of like looked like, and I'm not a person that toots my own horn. But she looked at me and she was just like, "Que guapo." And that, for people that don't speak Spanish, like, how handsome, very handsome. And I was like, "Thank you so much." But you don't get that. You don't get that in the States. I get that from black women. I get that from Latino women or, Latino people, black people in the States. But when I am in other countries, they give due process. If you fine, you fine. If you sexy, they're gonna let you know what it is. But when you go to the States, when I tell you they some haters, I just want y'all to know. I just want y'all to know that it does get better. It's a better way. So I will say, with all of that being said, I'm still for this guy. I'm still for this guy. He did his thing. So I just wanted to get in, say something really quick to y'all, and I'm gonna see y'all later. Nos vemos. Nos vemos pronto, babies. Adios.